Good morning and welcome to the Shielded Prepper, Food Insecurity. And today is another great day. I was researching this topic. I've got a couple of great articles for us. We're going to cover it quickly, and this is designed to remind you, not to inform you. We already have been informed. We know what's coming. Yet these articles are just to remind us of why being prepared and not scared is going to be a massive asset for us in the future as we are preparing our shield and our future for our families. So while we're prepared now with food and water and provisions and storage and heat and ways to produce energy, if we have these things now, it's going to allow us to increase our wealth in the future. Because as this tidal wave, or it's really not even a tidal, it's a tsunami, crushes our country and our world, we will be ready to take advantage of opportunities, not just for ourselves, yet to bless others. Let's get into this. Good morning, everybody. This is Out in the Nation. Food insecurity, simple title. The issue of excessive food waste is a major contributing factor to food insecurity around the world. It touches on Islam. It says Islam strictly forbids wasting food. And it believes that Allah disapproved of such behavior, regardless of the amount of food wasted. Use everything. So we can remove Islam and we can remove Allah from that conversation, and we could just say in general, why aren't we being more prudent with the resources that we have? Fair enough? Currently, around 228 million people in the world are facing food insecurity, while an estimated 2.5 billion tons of food are wasted annually. Now, I don't know all of those categories and where that information, they didn't share what those categories are, yet we know that the United States, me included, and I'm looking to be better at this, and then you should be too. And if you are, great job. Let's do this together. The United States is probably the lion's share of the waste. This is a wasteful country. Our consuming of everything can be quite wasteful. So let's look at how we can be better about that. Simple mathematics shows that eliminating food waste completely would be enough to eradicate food insecurity globally. On average, an individual consumes 4 kilograms or 8.8 pounds of food per day, and 17 pounds of food is wasted. 4 kilograms of food are consumed each day, the average person. So they say food, so I'm not sure. They're probably adding beverages and such in there, because 9 pounds of food is a lot. Which means that completely curbing food waste would be wiped out and food insecurity would be taken care of completely. This is a challenging task for not only developing countries and also for developed countries. How do we, as a developed country, manage this? How do undeveloped countries manage this? They're probably more efficient at managing their food waste. If it worsens, as failure to manage this may contribute to an increase in suicide rates. So they're connecting food insecurity to suicide. People lose all hope when they're starving. And I'm not sure if you've ever been starving. I've had different points in my life where I fasted for a duration of time. Very uncomfortable. And if you're doing a fast intentionally, that's one thing, because mentally you're prepared and you know you have food. Imagine if you had to fast and had no food and weren't sure where the next meal was going to come, and you didn't have hope in the Father. That's what they're saying. And I don't see that being an impossibility. Media programs should be introduced to effectively address this problem of food insecurity. Now, the media, we don't trust them as far as we can throw them, and there are certain avenues like this, the way that we're generating this information, that do add value. So we have to introduce these things, and the issue should also be incorporated in the curriculum of every country. So all of these programs have to be introduced somehow, and we have to remember that this starts with us. This is not about the government. This is about our own stewardship of the resources that we've been trusted with. Okay, this next article is out of Market Watch. Food insecurity in America reaches the highest level in 4 years. Food insecurity in the United States it was 10.5% higher than the previous year, and the overall inflation in 2022 was 6.5%. So food was the major hit. They didn't refer to it as fuel or rent or mortgages or health insurance premiums. All of these different components, people are choosing to skip meals. They're eating less, and they're going to food banks to help manage this cost monthly. So if they don't have enough, they're going to find the food. And this is why we have to remember it's coming to our local communities. The government can't sustain this for us. We have to take responsibility for our community. That's why we talk about don't just be prepared for our families. We have to be preparing for others. I know this makes sense to you. So for those of you that are prepared-minded, we have to be thinking about others that are going to come to us in a moment of need. They know who we are. Food banks are seeing a huge surge in demand and supplies at food banks. And this is really interesting. And I know this because I came for a short stint, a couple of years, 3 years in the food industry on the manufacturing side. And it's eye-opening to see how these supermarket chains operate. It's a modern marvel how we feed our country. It really is. Supplies at food banks have fallen as high inflation has affected food donations from grocery stores all the way through to the wholesalers. Food banks said that donations from pandemic-era federal programs have also dwindled. And we knew this. We talked about SNAP benefits. And we know that grocery stores are not throwing it to the food banks to put the new, latest, and freshest product in there. Grocery stores are hanging on to their food longer, and they're pushing the best by dates and the on-shelf life cycle of products. You've probably recently purchased vegetables that you get home and the next day your avocado's goosed. Or your lettuce is wilted real quickly because they're pushing that on-shelf life cycle, and they are not being pushed to the food banks like they have in the past. So much of the produce in certain areas and certain types, depending on the demand of food, we're going to see these best by dates pushed. So remember this. Keep prepping. Food, stack it deep. All right, and this is how the tech industry, technology is such a blessing, and it can be an absolute curse if we aren't aware of it. Yet, the tech industry also comes up with great ideas. And in this one, this should just be an eye-opener for your spiritual eyes as well as your physical eyes. How tech is bolstering the fight against food insecurity. Entrepreneurs are leveraging tech to tackle our exploding population and ongoing food shortages. This is out of The Entrepreneur, and they said, hey, these opinions of these contributors are their own. So Entrepreneur's not taking any accountability for this. They're just saying, hey, this person we've hired to research this, and whatever they write is theirs. The human race numbered 1 billion people in 1804, so the whole world. And the UN estimate, from UN estimates, it took only 218 years for the population to multiply eightfold. It's an amazing amount of people. There's more people alive today than have died in all of human history. We have a lot of responsibility in how we feed people. The exponential growth creates challenges in securing the necessary resources to feed this growing population. In 2023, in much of the developed world, it may not feel like there is a lack of food or even shortages of certain products or items. Yes, food prices have been steadily rising, and when pursuing the shelves of your local supermarket, it's common to come across sea bass from Chile, and avocados from Portugal, and shrimp from Indonesia, and olives from Greece, and mangoes from Thailand. And this is true. This might create a false sense of products that come across the world that there is a plentiful supply. And in reality, our current consumption rates are reaching a tipping point. Can't keep up with it. Your avocados. We have to be thinking about these things. Modern technology in fermentation can be used on a near unlimited number of organic foods and beverages, enabling them to enjoy drastically longer shelf lives using fermentation, which is an awesome thing. I mean, God, it's good for our bodies as well. And in reality, our current consumption rates, advancing technology is helping make fermentation even more relevant. Yet they're slipping something in here. They're slipping something in here. Hear this. Precision fermentation technology, so PFT, has been leveraged to produce drugs and food additives, and now scientists are developing new alternatives to classic food products. This is a great way not to say, hey, there's a new type of dairy products. No, this is alternative to classic food products. So the historical food products are changing. And they are going to, alternative types of proteins. Think about this. Milks, cheeses, and fungi, wheats, and dairy products that can provide the population with healthier and cheaper versions of those old familiar foods. Think about this. Precision fermentation requires 1,700 times less land than the most efficient agricultural means of producing proteins. Can we talk about what this is? This is crickets. This is crickets. It's a laboratory. They're just going to breed these things. 1,700 times less land than traditional agriculture. Yet to bring this online is going to be a significant cost. And it's time and it's adoption of these ideas. While fermentation tech will take time to maximize and scale up, agricultural remains the primary outlet to feed humans. And this brutal war by Vladimir Putin in the Ukraine has disrupted wheat supplies, which it absolutely has, and reduced the country's output, and complicating all of these food efforts all over the world. And we know that the Ukraine and Russia and some of the surrounding areas are huge they're big farming countries in the development of urea and fertilizers that help us where we purchase ours for our farmland. And if there's a massive reduction in those things, what's that going to do to our output of food domestically, globally? This is a big deal. People, be prepping food, have it deep. The average person's going to consume around 900 pounds per year. If you've got 10 people you're prepping for, I mean, this is tons of food that has to be put away. And if you don't have a ton of money to invest in real estate and gold and silver, and food is your primary, that should be your number one investment that is going to protect and provide for you and your tribe. I'm going to include this in the description area again, the scarce items list. Please subscribe if you've made it this far. Hit the like bell. Send this to somebody that should hear this. If you know one person right now that would be blessed from an awakening to why they should be stocking food right now for not just them and their families, rather for others too, send it to them. Send it to them. It'll bless them. And remember, commit thy works unto the Lord, and thy thoughts shall be established. Before you go, say, Lord, I'm going to start doing this. Allow him to show you the way. Have a great day, guys. It's been a blessing and a privilege this morning, and I'll see you tomorrow.